I'm trying to get back into startups again after 13 years of running Sendable, and it's really really hard to start again. It's hard to kind of break through the noise. There's obviously so much choice out there right now. What advice would you give to startups today, or any business for that matter, just trying to stand out in an extremely crowded sort of market and space at the moment?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna give the cliche marketing advice, right? Because everyone's talking about the creator economy right now, which is like to me, it's just like, dude, it's just creating content again. No. So, um, I think it's important to establish yourself on one channel first, whether it's podcasts or YouTube or Twitter or drop in audio. I think figuring out what that channel is and continuing to grow it. I mean, you can see some of the most successful people in the valley, right? So Justin Kahn, who sold Twitch, I mean, he's growing his YouTube channel. Gary Tan, the early investor in Coinbase and Instacart, he's growing on YouTube as well. Today I was talking to some YouTube consultants too. Like I'm looking to grow there too. So I think it's establishing a foothold somewhere where you kind of have that moat, and from there you can figure out how to build a business around that, right? I think building a great product, at least in the software world, to me is becoming more of a commodity. I think building the audience is the tougher part, and case in point, you look at Logan Paul, right? He's fighting Floyd Mayweather. He built the audience first, and then he built the business, right? I'm not saying you have to go become an influencer, but what I will say is, I think we're going to see a rise in more kind of business influencers or more B2B influencers. So
So would you say SEO is still important, or not really?
yeah, what's funny? I did an interview on the Pomp podcast. So Anthony Pompliano, a big crypto guy, and then we're talking about SEO, and one guy on Twitter was poo pooing me, right? And he's saying SEO is dead, blah blah blah. You hear Gary Vee saying SEO is dead. It's just not something they really understand that much. But what I would say is SEO is an unfair advantage because of the fact that not a lot of people understand it, and also most people aren't patient, aren't willing to wait 1, 2, 3 years to see really good results. But maybe you don't have to wait that long. If you have resources, can you go out there and can you go buy a website that has a strong presence on it, and then you publish content, or you can buy that website and then go buy another website that has a ton of content and then redirect it to your website, and then boom, you're ranking, right? It doesn't have to be that complicated. And so to me, SEO it's a blue ocean because it's so tough to break into. There's kind of a moat around that, right, to break in. And I think from there, you get to use the leverage from that. If you're getting like 100,000 visits a month, maybe 1 million visits a month, you're collecting more emails, you have more data to retarget. There's just a lot that you can do with it, right? So I think SEO is still invaluable, at least as of this recording. Actually, I should back up a second too. So, sorry. So, SEO is going to be relevant forever as long as human beings are searching for things. But sorry, I cut you off.
I was going to say, obviously, with SEO, it takes time, and obviously you have these sort of smart voice devices, Alexa, Google Home, all these things. Surely, brand is more important than SEO these days. Like, how would you think about investing? Would you choose brand over SEO for the short term, or would you still consider like SEO as a good long term sort of strategy and investment?
Yeah, I think if I were starting out, I'd go with brand first, because if I start with a LinkedIn as an example for B2B, I know the organic reach is strong right now, so I know I'm going to get picked up faster. Or let's say I was doing D2C, I would go for TikTok. I might go for kind of these shorts platforms, or even YouTube as well, because discoverability is pretty good. And so I would aim for those, and to an extent, even Twitter too. It's hard to go viral on Twitter, but you can do it. That's why you see me messing around with Twitter. Right? I'm trying to, like, when I have time, I'm trying to post more to it, and I'm just realizing I might actually just hire a guy and pay him on performance for tweets because he's really good at it. So I would focus on the brand because everyone has something different to say, right? Like you might have something to say on social. I might just focus on leveling up in general, and everyone's got you know I'm kind of referring to Twitter right now, but everyone's got something unique. So
It's actually interesting. Like Twitter's really innovating like crazy right now. I think there's tons of opportunity there at the moment. Something I often talk about, how ads are becoming far less effective these days. So at Sendable, we've actually never relied on ads ever in our growth. It's always been reputation, word of mouth, brand. What are your thoughts on the future of advertising?
yeah, I mean, look at what's going on with Apple, right? On the agency side, we look at it, it's like, a lot of the clients are getting hit by iOS 14. It's because they relied too much on ads. And I've been saying this over the years. It's just, you have to build your own platform. So, drive them, collect email lists, collect SMS, SEO to an extent. You don't really own it though. But you got to own as much as you can, because at the end of the day, these platforms are centralized and they're going to do what's right for them, and it's not their fault or anything like that. It's just how they're incentivized. So it is what it is, and we can cry about it or you can do something about it. So